Solidarity, comrades. Let me set this down. This is sort of an ad hoc video. Not really ad hoc, just where I am. I've found some time. And one of my dogs are here too. So, today I wanted to talk about a couple things. This video is going to be on the Marxist-Leninist Center. And when I mean center, I mean, not left deviation, ultra-leftism, left communism, not right opportunism, but the center, the Marxist-Leninist Center, the Communist Center. And I also want to take care of some house cleaning. I recently had an interview with the Red Lettuce podcast. Should be being uploaded in the next few days on their channel. So please check them out. Watch their other episodes. They have a lot of great episodes. Their most recent one, they have some guests on speaking about anti-Asian hate, which is very pertinent and important right now. Also, I want to discuss a little bit on the fact that I think a YouTuber named the Falcon General did a response to my "What is Gonzaloism" video. Now, I'm sure that I've watched it, and it's a lot of it's a lot of minor corrections, nitpicky stuff. I was really spitballing in that, but it doesn't change the underlying message of the video, that the revolutionary masses have rejected Maoism, have rejected the idea of the protracted People's War as universal, and history has vindicated the line of Marxism-Leninism and its success, with billions of workers living under Marxism, Leninism, and socialism to this very day. So I'm sure the Falcon General would like me to, respond more in depth to his, I don't want to call him nitpicks, because he did have valid points, but to his video, because it sort of misses the point I was making about Gonzaloism. The point I have in my videos is to broadly explain the ideology and everything, but also to present it from the lens of the Marxist-Leninist Center, the strain, the tendency within socialism that succeeds. That's what I analyze things from. I don't analyze things from any of the ideologies that aren't based in the acceptance of the masses or the success of the masses. So, with all due respect to Falcon General, your ideology is worthless. It's an abstraction. It has never existed in material reality. It's a fetishization of a short period of time of horrific murder within the People's Republic of China. So, I want you all to realize this when dealing with Maoists, that they're fetishizing a real concrete Chinese experience, and this fetishization of violence and anti-clericalism and accelerationist attitude, forcing the idea upon the masses instead of it organically rising out of the masses itself. That's where we clearly are demarcated, and this will lead me into my next point, the Marxist-Leninist Center. And the Marxist-Leninist Center is basically the tendency within the world of communists, with a capital C, who understand the fact that Marxism-Leninism, it's not a framework, it's not a plan, it's not a set of rules. it is a tool of clarification. Hence the unintuitive nature of things like Maoism and Hojism and things like that. It's unintuitive because Marxism-Leninism isn't something that needs to be advanced anymore, because it is constantly advancing. It's fluid. It adapts to the changing material conditions, and any contribution by theorists that is born from the masses is an acceptable growth of Marxism-Leninism, but labeling it as something else is unintuitive and not really, it doesn't mean anything. All it means is that these people have a very specific image of socialism in history that they want to exist amongst them today. So the Marxist-Leninist Center understands that things like Mao Zedong thought and Titoism and even non-Marxist trends like Baathism, Bolivarianism, African socialism, and Arab socialism, they recognize that these are the organic practice of the masses in an attempt to build a society based around a new way of thinking. That way of thinking is the productive forces used for social ends, that collective unity and thought. Now, when I say that socialism, in the most broadly term speaking, is the productive forces used for social ends, that in and of itself is problematic, because you can't define socialism. You can define socialism as it exists in a place, but defining socialism separate from the concrete praxis is it's worthless. It's imagination. It's abstractions. It's intellectual circle jerking. It's worthless. So the Marxist-Leninist Center understands that Marxism-Leninism is a tool for clarification, and that things like Mao Zedong thought and what I said before is a manifestation of the organic practice of the masses as clarified by Marxism-Leninism. So when we say something is Titoist, then we understand that Titoism is an organic expression of socialism in Yugoslavia, clarified by the tool of Marxism-Leninism. And when we get away from this idea that we can imagine socialist societies and that we can, sort of guess what they're going to be like and put a framework ahead and tell people this is how we're going to do it, that it not only is ultra leftist, but it's also very anti-historical materialism. It ignores how revolutions have happened in the past. Every single revolution happened because of the organic practice of the masses. And every time it has succeeded is because there is a group at that head of the most advanced workers using advanced theory to clarify the position of the masses and lead that revolutionary fervor towards a goal that they're going to complete. You can't implement socialism without the direct will of the masses. It's inseparable. And whenever someone has an ideology like Maoism, for example, first of all, it's anti-historical materialism because it's taking a period of China and it's not using historical materialism to analyze it. It's not using primary sources to analyze it. It's not speaking to the Chinese people who live there in first-hand accounts. It's not talking about the analysis by Chinese communists on both the left, center, and right. It's not talking about any of that. It's talking about what the ultra-leftists wrote down what was their plan, what they were trying to achieve. And they see that and they like that because it's in their minds a clearly defined framework that they can reach towards, and it isn't based in the will of the masses. And what's interesting about a lot of these Western Maoists is that they're afraid of the will of the masses. They're terrified of it because it doesn't do The masses don't want a protracted people's war. The masses don't want to live in some kind of cultural revolution, horrific, violent era where everything that they know is being destroyed. Every bit of their culture, every bit of their faiths, every bit of their communities, everything is being shaken up for the sake of the revolution. But if the revolution isn't based in the will of the masses, then what you're doing isn't revolutionary. It's some sort of... well, I guess you could call it revolutionary, but it's like a revolutionary clique instead of something born from the bottom. And what a lot of these Maoists do is that they take these ideas from, Western Maoists take the ideas from places like the MPA, 60s China, the Naxalites, and Peru, and Gonzaloism, like the Falcon general said. And they look at these things, and they look at what these people wrote and what they believed. And these people were genuine. They truly believe what they're doing. And I am sympathetic to their cause because they are fighting a real enemy. But we have to look at the material conditions of things and what the will of the masses is. These Maoists talk about mass line, but they're so incredibly divorced from what people want and what people need. They're fantasizing about these revolutionary days, dressing up in cultural revolution outfits. It's LARPing. It's a fantasy. And people like the Falcon General really tell on themselves whenever they make videos like that. Because you can see he did a lot of research when it came to factoids, but didn't actually use dialectical materialism in his analysis. He didn't use historical materialism in his analysis. He did not even cite the indigenous people who most of these claims are sourced out of. So when I see this sort of thing, it's just the epitome of ultra-leftism. It's like, I understand what you're trying to do, the Falcon General. I used to think like you. But what you really have to do is get out of this ultra-lefty YouTube super online frame of mind and start talking to working class people in your community. Because I guarantee you, if you talk like this to working class people in your community, you're going to be immediately rejected. And if you don't have the masses at your back, then what you're saying is frankly useless. And when it's rejected by the masses, then it is objectively wrong. Let me quote Mao Zedong from you. Where do correct ideas come from? Do they drop from the sky? No. Are they innate in the mind? No. They come from social practice and from it alone. And your ideas are so divorced from the social practice of the masses that your nitpick about facts is almost laughable. Yeah, you corrected me on some things. You didn't debunk anything, though, because it's void of dialectic thought. It's void of historical materialism. And, I really want to see, these left strands succeed on YouTube. But when you're so deep in this Western abstraction of Mao and his thought, it's frankly disgusting. Like, I've read the Chinese Marxists in Chinese from that time. The Cultural Revolution from all sides. I've read Mao Zedong in his native tongue. I've read Lin Biao in his native tongue. I've read Deng Xiaoping in his native tongue. I've read about Zhou Enlai in his native tongue. I've read Liu Shaoqi in his native tongue. Have you? No. You're dealing with abstractions that other Maoists have put into English for you. You have no idea what the actual core material practice of the masses is. And I'm someone who has spoken to people who have done the social practice of these times, who have fought for Mao Zedong in a protracted people's war, who have built socialism, who built socialism during the Great Leap Forward, who were a part of the horrific bloodbath of the Great Proletarian Cultural Revolution. Now, I have another comrade that you'll see. There's a comrade, a part of the PCUSA named Comrade Kayla. You'll see her on the Red Lettuce podcast. She's Peruvian. She is deeply, deeply entrenched and has family that were a part of the Senderos, even, of the Shining Path in Peru, and Gonzaloides. And this is a person that will clarify the situation there for you. Someone who understands more than you. Because any person, whether they're a Marxist or not, who has lived and experienced the social practice, knows more about revolution and socialism than you. And your abstractions, claiming them to be this purest, correct line, when not only they have been rejected by the masses, but they have never succeeded. Never succeeded once. So I want you to sit back and think. Do you care more about, the science of dialectical materialism? Do you care more about the liberation of the masses? Or do you care more about being right? Do you care more about being the most communist out of every communist? Ask yourself that. And whenever you can actually answer that question, then maybe I will give merit to your arguments that you made inside those, inside your video. But anything that's void of dialectical materialism is, frankly, worthless. Anyway, everyone, please check out the Red Comrades in China channel. They just released the first episode of Wu Mao with a Chinese comrade, English name Yolanda. Please check it out. It's a media collective that I'm a very, very small part of, that we used to with many communists that are Chinese and communists that are foreign but have lived or currently live in China. So please check it out. It's really good stuff. Also, again, I'm going to remind you to check out the Red Lettuce podcast. My episode will be coming up anytime now, but even before that, go over there, subscribe. It's a great place. Yeah, and I think that about wraps it up. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments or anything, put down below. Please come in good faith. And yeah, everyone have a great day. Be safe. Support the struggle against police violence led by our most vulnerable people in society, and continue the fight. Solidarity, comrades.